Hi everyone, hi everyone, it's Matthew Greenwood with our fireside chats as normal, new directions. So guys, tonight we're going to have something interesting. I'm going to have someone I know really well. Mary's going to introduce a few questions to me around shamanism. But that's in a little while. As usual, we're going to do a grounding exercise tonight. We always start off the day with that. And also, just to remember, you're coming live from Matthew Greenwood Spiritual Journeys. And it's really important, if you want to ask questions tonight, please do. And then you'll have the opportunity to also win a free spirit guide reading. Just follow the prompts. And our winner for tonight from last week is Hazel Marie Voke. And Hazel, we're going to get in contact with you, and then it's up to you to give me a ring just to organise a time. So you need to call me on the phone, which is 0410 658 797. And we'll be letting you know when you call me. We can make an appointment, and you'll get a free spirit guide reading. And of course, the option's always there to open that up to other things, and that's totally your choice. So looking forward to that one. We've got a few people on board already. Hey, Kylie. Hey, Paula. We've got Natalie Tucker and Kathy Paris Wendell. Alrighty. So let's get this grounding exercise happening. And now don't forget tonight, please, if you feel this subject tonight is going to be of interest to other people you know, then just flick them a message and get them to come in and listen, because there's lots of good information that will be coming up tonight. I really look forward to the questions being thrown at me from Mary. So here we go. Here's our grounding exercise. So just to begin with, getting yourselves nice and comfy. And when you're ready, close your eyes and just start to take some nice, deep, full breaths. Okay, so remembering that with each breath in, it's not just about taking in oxygen. It's actually about taking in life force as well. And so this life force is what feeds us. We can't do without it. So we need to be doing some sort of technique to get that life force in on a regular basis. So remembering that breath in is pulling in life force. The breath out is directing that life force to your energy system. And so now we're going to do something a bit more directive with it. And so with the next deep breath in, pulling that life force in, and then with the breath out, I'd like you to direct that energy that you've just breathed in down through your body, your base chakra, your legs, your feet, and then flowing down into the earth. And just for a few breaths, just keep following through with that. Just keep that same visualization flowing, and that will definitely help to move that energy where you want it to. And then once you've engaged with your base chakra, you should feel a flow of energy or life force or a tingling down through your feet and into the earth. And so once you've got that connection, now we're going to go deeper. So we have a string of chakras that go right down to the core of the earth. Our energy system is far more expansive than the books say and that most people are aware of. So with the next deep breath in, pulling that life force in, and this time with the breath out, push that energy right down to the core of the earth, to your earth chakra. And same thing, just keep doing that same visualization, taking in life force and then getting it to flow down through to that earth chakra. And so a recognition of connecting with that earth chakra it's a lot more subtle than the base chakra, but it certainly is still strong. It's generally a feeling of overall peace or overall calm, sense of calm. But it can be also a warmth or a tingling all around you. But generally people know, they just have a knowing that they've connected with that deep earth chakra. And we've just got to trust that. So when you feel you've engaged with that earth chakra, then just sit for a few seconds, just sit in that space and enjoy it. Just feel it. When you're on your time, or when you're doing this in the mornings, say, then you can enjoy that space a little bit longer. But this doesn't have to be a long process. It can be a very quick process. And for our energy to stay stable through the day and ongoing, we need to be doing this at least a couple of times a day. And then we end up treating it like cleaning your teeth. It's just one of those things that we have to do each day. Excellent. Okay. So now, just letting your breath relax, we're going to go into a deeper part of our energy system and also a higher vibrational part of our energy system, which is what they call your core star energy. So when you think about God, Creator, Great Spirit, the universe, generally most people think of outside of them, but this is also inside of us. And we can activate this energy for many other purposes by connecting with that energy of God or Creator inside of us. So what I'd like you to do now is, with your awareness, bring your awareness to the center of your body to start with. And as you feel that point within your physical body, that's the centralmost point, now what I'd like you to do is just be really aware and conscious that there's far more to you than just physical. And so inside of your energy, your physical energy, there's a whole universe inside of you of life force and expansiveness. So what I'd like you to do is just to dive into that space and go right to the center of that universe inside of you. And this is where that high vibrational energy of source is. So generally people will either see it, sense it, or feel it. So once you have it, once you can connect with that, then you're in the driver's seat. And so what I'd like you to do, this is all about intention. So next intention is to allow that to expand out. Imagine that light, that high vibrational energy source, filling your internal energy space, internal of your physical body. As that energy expands out, I see it like a light rushing out closer and closer to your three-dimensional space inside of you. As you begin to feel or sense that light, that high vibrational energy source coming up and connecting with your physical body, then just know that every cell in your body is being touched by this light. And then as the physical body is completely touched by that light, then beginning to expand that out beyond your physical body into the auric bodies around you and through you to an area about 3 to 4 meters out. This is bringing you out into about your 9th to 10th energy body, which is still relating to this physical journey or this journey here on Earth, but it's also a bridge to your galactic energy as well, which we are all becoming a part of, that galactic consciousness. So just allowing that light to expand out into that 3 to 4 meter area all around you. And remembering our energy doesn't just stop there. So on the count of 3, I'm going to get you to explode this light out in all directions, limitlessly. So 1, 2, and 3. Beautiful. Just let it keep expanding out. No boundaries, no limitations. And this is another one to just experience sometimes. Just feel yourself. And for us tonight, just for a few seconds, just allow yourself to float freely in that high level, high frequency energy that you're connected to now. And this is not just around you, it's going through you as well. Remember that. It's everywhere within your energy system. Raising your frequency. And this is what will really help you to stay, I should say, rise above any low vibrational stuff that's thrown at you, either by people, by human consciousness, or anything untoward. That's excellent. So doing that twice a day will really help you to stabilize your energy system, and it will be a great preparation for doing anything that's out of the ordinary for you. So now, just gently to come back from that, let's finish off with where we started, taking a few deep breaths, pulling that life force in again, and this time with the breath out, directing that life force down through your body, your base chakra, your legs, your feet, and guess where? Down into the earth. And I hope you're back. And just bringing your awareness too to your physical body, just, just sensing everything that's going on in your physical, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Cool, guys. Well, here we go. I've got Mary Waters here somewhere very close by, and she's going to be dropping in, and she's going to be asking me a lot of questions around shamanism, and I don't know what the questions are. So, Mary, when you're ready, welcome in. Look at that, magic.
Hello. 45 minutes drive and I'm here instantly. How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you going?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you online again.
Yeah, well, I have been offline for a little bit for some personal reasons, obviously, but
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me and asking me to be here tonight, and it's a good way to come back.
Yeah, pleasure.
And it's like, with my experiences as well, like the assistance of our community is enormous. But like Matt, I just wanted to also say thank you. Like, I'm not sure how many people realize, how important it is to actually do those grounding exercises every day. As you said, it assists you with that, that foundation. But, the hurdles, the everyday life, being, mortal beings, and even in our spirituality, it just like softens some of those massive mountains, and like they turn into molehills and things like that. It doesn't mean that things are not going to smack us in the face occasionally, but it just gives us a tool to be able to be equipped to be able to handle life a lot easier and a lot smoother. So thank you very much for sharing that particular gift. It's amazing.
Oh, my pleasure. Look, I just know how powerful that is. I do a lot of mentoring with other people like yourself. I have in the past, and with a lot of people I work with. And when they engage with it, I mean, they know just how powerful it is, because it does stabilize your energy, and you can cope with things that most people wouldn't normally be able to cope with. Our base chakra is so important. It's one of the most important chakras we have. I can't sort of stress that one enough. For spiritual development, strong base chakra, it opens up your energy system really well. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's one of those things, isn't it, that liking it to everyday life. If you don't actually drink water, eventually everything just falls apart. Like, we just can't cope.
No.
And this is actually our drink. This is the probably even more important than water, is actually having that really strong base chakra. And
Definitely.
then feeding it, and it just actually brings it through.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Now, can you just let me know? I'm actually in another room from where I normally am. Is that light too strong? Is it?
No, that's good. Yeah, it's not. It's.
Mary.
I mean,
I'm
it's not. I can see Mary very well.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, Matt actually gave me a call, and to ask him a number of questions about shamanism, and the enlightenment that I've actually had, and the direction of the path where I've gone through, is I would like to personally say thank you to Matt for assisting me to be in my direction. I've done many, many years of doing soul searching and coming to this place. And when I met Matt, and the way that he actually handles himself, and with respect and dignity, ethical, it really resonated with me, and on a personal level. And so I was truly honored and to be permitted to actually go on the journey with Matt. Okay, so shamanism is not necessarily something that you go, I'm a shaman. Like, there is a process that occurs, and one of the biggest things that there's a few things that I'd like to speak to Matt about, but one of the things was ego.
And
And
that's a big one.
I know that it's not the actually first question I was going to ask, but we've actually talked a lot about that, about, making sure about, where our ego is at. Why is that so important before I actually ask the next question?
Oh, that's a good one, Mary. So the ego, there's probably been, over the years, particularly with the New Age movement, there's probably been a bit of misconception around the ego. In the early days, 32 years ago, when I first started with all of this, you'd hear people all the time commenting about the ego, that, oh, we've got to get rid of the ego, we shouldn't have an ego, it's all about love and light and all of that sort of stuff. That's very nice. That's a very much a surface view of the whole thing. We have to have an ego. The difference is when the ego is out of balance. If we didn't have egos, you wouldn't see musicians getting up on stage, or, well, I wouldn't be doing this kind of thing. The ego is the part of your psyche that drives you forward. Now, if it's driving you forward in a constructive and a compassionate way, well, that's fantastic. And you're feeding what people want to help them to grow. That's what it's all about. It's only when the ego, when, you know, you spend a lot of your time showing off about what you can do, or trying to pull other people's energy down so that you look good. This is the stuff that's not healthy. And so that's an ego out of balance. But the ego out of balance can also be scared to get up and do this stuff. Fear, that's representative of the ego out of balance too. And so really the journey with shamanism, like you said, it's not just well, I normally use the phrase weekend workshop. Shamanism is not a weekend workshop. That's only the beginning. It's like the first step, the shamanism workshops I do. It's a way of life. It's about being super aware of everything that you are, every word you speak, every action you take, but also it's about being aware of other people's actions and how they're affecting you, and what you can do. You can't change them, but what you can do for yourself so that that doesn't impact you. And I suppose one of the major things I teach people that come through the shamanism path is to learn how to keep their emotions neutral when they're working with other people, so that their whole focus is not on what's going on inside of them as much as what they're feeling coming from that other person. It's only when your emotions are flying around in your space that you're not picking up on the huge potential of what you can feel and sense with that person you're working with. So I hope that answers.
Well, no, thank you very much. Wow. Now, one of the other things is that so many people don't quite understand what a shaman is. And obviously there's so many different modalities and, you know, different techniques, etc. And, you know, like you and I, as much as like in the training that you've given me, like as I've actually advanced mine, it's more like that we're the yin and yang of in certain aspects as well, like, you know, the growth and, you know, the different techniques. But one of the things is that so many people say to me, they ask, who am I? And when I say that I'm a shaman, there is often just an absolute blank look.
Pregnant pause.
You, who are you?
Well, thank you for throwing that one at me. Well, I've realized it took me a long time to actually accept, not so much accept, but I feel like it's big shoes to fill by calling yourself a shaman, because a lot of people are pretty, let's say, casual about that one, and they don't see the fullness of what a shaman is. So I guess this is where, to understand what a shaman is, really it's that journey, that way of life I was talking about before. It's not a weekend workshop, it's a way of life. Essentially, a shaman is someone who is a bridge between the physical world and the spirit world. And we're not just talking about random spirits that are floating around or your auntie and uncle. We're talking about the ancestors that are here in the earth still, that are still teaching us, the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the bird kingdom and insect kingdom, the elements that are all around us, the nature spirits, galactic beings. We are the ones that go in and can connect with those beings, because number one, we normally sense something is going on some level spiritually. So then through training, we can learn to read that information that's out there, that's coming from any of those different spiritual realms. But then the role of a shaman, and this is probably the big one, the role of a shaman, whether it be in a small way with an individual or in the old days with a village, is to bring balance. It's to see where the harmony is not there, where the harmony is lost, and how to bring that harmony back so that everything is in balance. And this is really what the role of a shaman is, to read what's going on, not just in your personal space, but in the whole space that you exist in, and to be able to feel. I kind of, over the years, I've worked out that the best way to begin to actually have a connection with all of those spiritual realms is, and this is not in a religious way, but prayer. In your prayers, if you acknowledge all of these different realms, then you're not just acknowledging it, you're actually connecting with those realms. Because as soon as you bring an intention into your thoughts, you're already opening a communication line to whatever your intentions are directed to. So if you, in your morning prayers or the process, your rituals that you take yourself through, if you're acknowledging the ancestors, if you're acknowledging Great Spirit, your guides, galactic beings, then your energy is reaching out to them. And so the communication lines are already there. And this is the expansiveness of your energy really touching all of those realms. So,
Well said, Matthew.
I had it all written here in front of me. No, I didn't.
Sorry, guys. I like to tease him.
That's all right. I can take it.
A few years now, so I think one of the most important things for myself and the education that I've actually had and the commitment to being a shaman, as you said, it's a way of life. And it's, for me, it's, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's not something that I actually can turn on and off like a hot and cold water tap, or, I want to be tepid and, I want to be warm or something like that. I need a day off. So how do you cope with your commitment, and to be into the, like, being immortal, as well as obviously the commitment spiritually, galactically, universally, because it is something that is more than logging on and going on live for an hour once a fortnight or once a week or whatever we choose to do. It's, so how do you cope?
Yep. All right. Well, a normal day for me is that grounding exercise, plus my own rituals, personal rituals that I do, which includes prayer that I talked about. But I also do that in between each client, so that every time I'm working with someone, they're working with a fresh slate. So I'm not hanging on to anything from previously. So when I'm connecting with that person, they're 100% in my ability to connect with, and I can feel everything that's going on generally with them. So that's a normal thing through the day, but also I need time off too. And it's important. And look, this is a real balancing act at times like we're in now, with the amount of fear and anxiety that people are carrying from all of this stuff that's going on. And so, it's not so much about taking on other people's energy, which I know I do a pretty good job of not doing that. But you just get tired sometimes. It's like any job. You need R&R. You need to be able to relax too. It's very easy for me to get tied up in helping people every day, because I get phone calls. I get people that are having difficulties holding their energy together, but I also get people, wanting to give me information about stuff that they're picking up on, sensing. And so at some point, I've got to draw a line for myself to be able to just have time off. So won't be carrying my phone at times.
Yeah. And it is really interesting as well, like for myself, like as soon as someone thinks that I'm going to do an instant, and I'm going to be part, like sometimes there's that demand, or it's, I know that sounds really rude, but as much as people think that they're not, they're wanting something. They want to be healed. They want to talk to their guides. They want to, be like, how do you cope, or how do you actually, gently say to people, like, in due respect?
The most difficult thing, I suppose, I have thrown at me at the moment is, because it's getting really busy, people will say to me, well, like, I work 5.5 days a week. Can you do a session for me after hours? And it's only on very rare occasions I'll do that, because I work 5.5. I actually work almost 7 days a week. But when I know people are having difficulty, I will help out on occasions. But you can feel when it's just being a bit strung out, to when it's, well, it can be life-threatening, people being suicidal in these times. That can happen. And so you have to judge that one for yourself. But really, I will say to someone, look, if you're going to a doctor, rarely will they see you after hours. So you would have to take some time off work, and you've got to treat me the same way as you would a doctor in that, looking at it in that light. Because, if your well-being is at stake, then it can't all fit around your ego. Dare I say that? You have to bend, and you have to be flexible, and be prepared to compromise too. Because I'm very busy, and so it's important that, and also it's about people, the general public, taking us seriously for the amount of work that we do, and the amount of energy that we put into this work, because it is full-time work, and so yes, we can't just keep going. We're not the ever-ready rabbit.
With the expectations.
Just hopping around all the time.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, so many people don't realize that shamanism, or it has been a practice since the beginning of time.
Yes.
Modern medicine is in its infancy.
Very much.
And so for myself, my understanding and the teachings that I've had is, nothing that we do is fake. Everything is real. Even if someone cannot actually physically see it, or necessarily, has a little capsule, what we do is not replicated by something synthetic.
Can't be.
Are you of agreement with that one?
Most definitely. Yeah, look, each one of us that takes on this shamanic role, we have our own ways, but essentially the bottom line is, most people don't, how can I put this? Most people don't have the self-drive to want to take this work on full-time. I'm talking about every day, every hour, every minute. And it's a life process. It's a way of life. And for that, we do it in our own personal way, but the work is still very similar for each individual that works as a shaman. And no, it can't be duplicated. There's no technology out there that I know of. And I've seen a bit of technology over the years, not just here in Australia, but in the States, in Canada. There's some interesting things out there, but they can't get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going on in someone's space. It can give you a bit of a overall, maybe, if the technology is really good. And I have seen some pretty good technology out there. Yeah, when we're clear, when we're firing on all cylinders, the information we can pick up on with people is pretty cool. It's because sometimes they can't see it or feel it, and that's why we're there to help them. So
100%, I totally agree with you.
Just going to jump in because Adair's asked a question. You talk about weekend workshop. How much study practice does it take to fully embody shamanism? That's a biggie.
That question.
Yeah. Kind of a flow on, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Look, shamanism isn't just about workshops. Shamanism is about journeying through life as well. So I've been lucky enough, and not everyone is able to do this, but I just had a set of circumstances open up back in about 1998.
Does that mean that you're only 23?
That's about right, yeah. Thank you. Where I had the opportunity to go to America and to live with the Lakota Indians. And this was back in 2001. And I ended up going over there. So I learned a lot from being there, living with the Lakota people on Rosebud Indian Reservation. But not everyone gets that chance to do that. But it doesn't say that you can't. You're going to completely miss out on that. It's about having the self-drive to actually connect. Well, we've got a beautiful culture here in Australia, the Aboriginal culture, and it's so diverse and varied, and there's so many places where it's still strong. And it's up to us as individuals to, if we want to learn more about shamanism, go out and be around the people that are really living that. And this, so getting back to what Adair, before I go off on a tangent.
That's you at all.
Adair's question, how many workshops? I run 4 levels of workshops. But what's in between the workshops is actually really important. The stuff that's in between the workshops is actually dealing with your emotional baggage. Because the less emotional baggage that you're carrying, the more open and free the life force within your auric field is running at. And it's running at a higher frequency generally. And that means your awareness levels are up a lot higher. Your chakra system's a lot clearer. And you don't have to do too many workshops on learning how to open up your psychic abilities when you're not carrying baggage. And this is one of the biggest things that I really see as important to share with people, is that the foundation of being a shaman is to be incredibly clear within your energy system. And look, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, and I'm sure there'll be friends and people I know that would attest to that. I'm still human.
Oh, no, my lips are sealed.
But you have to have a high level of dedication to actually, when something emotional is coming to the surface, to deal with it and to face it and work out what it is and why it's having an effect on you. Because when you do that, then you're clearing your energy system, then your awareness levels, just each time you do that stuff, your awareness levels go through the roof. And yeah, that's the magic when you're doing that stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I just want to say thank you, Kylie. She actually just said good to see you online again. And Sarah's actually said, hey, Matt, and hey, Mary.
Oh, Sarah? Oh, yeah, yep. Hey,
Yeah,
Sarah.
right down the bottom there.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
And maybe just a few other hellos. Hey, Paul. Hey, Nikki. And we've got, hey, Kylie. Hey, Christina. And Roxy Lou. Hey, Roxy Lou. Cool.
It's really good. I've been reading some of the messages and, like, you know, the confirmation and having that, you know, the understanding, or at least gaining a more cemented reasoning behind it. So it's like, oh, that's why. And, you know, that sort of thing, like leading by example. You know,
Yeah, it's a big one.
it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like, you know, as you said, with this commitment, you know, 365 days a week, yes, we do have a little bit of a break and some downtime. So, like, you know, obviously sometimes spirit will actually come in and, you know, make some demands and things like that. What do you do? Like, you know, because you can't actually have someone knocking on your door every single day.
No.
As you said, you're leaving your phone at home. What is it that you, like, how do you cope, or how do you interact and with boundaries and things like that? What is it that you do?
In relation to people or guides?
Both.
Both. Okay. Well, with people, you know, when I've got a day off, if I've crossed in my diary the day off, then it's rare that I'll take a phone call. I may take a phone call. It won't be an extended phone call. I'll just be booking in someone for an appointment. Happy to do that. And generally, I think most people that know me or get to know me fairly quickly, even with a phone call, I'll have boundaries when people want to continue to talk. Because honestly, I don't have the time to just out of the blue have a half hour, 3/4 of an hour conversation on the phone. That's what a session's for. A friend, you know, friends are different if I've got the time, obviously. But with spirit too, with my guides and with galactic beings, generally they're, you know, I've got a pretty good connection with my guides and with galactic beings. And it's rare they'll be pushing me to be doing anything, because they know who I am. They know the work I do as well, because they're a part of it. I mean, I'm not the package without them. But there are times, and this generally happens when I'm on my R&R time, rest and recreation time, and it's probably generally when I'm out in a forest or something, and a galactic being might be there, or a guide is saying, can you sense what's going on with that tree over there? And it's really just a little bit of teaching and a little bit of awareness of what's happening at different times. And this, I just see this as everyday stuff, because it's not demanding, that kind of thing. In fact, it's really interesting. It just helps to feed you with more knowledge, which is what this stuff's all about, to have knowledge and understanding of what's going on around us. Again, just having those communication lines open. But yeah, look, generally, the only ones over the years that can be a bit pushy are spirits. And I'm talking about just people that have passed over and haven't moved on. They're still partially on this earth plane, and there can be an urgency around them to get help or guidance. And some people pick up on them more than others. And for people that are really open and there's no filter and there's no boundaries, that stuff can be pretty impacting. I tend to not. It's interesting. My connection has always been about spiritual growth, and helping people to be everything they can be. And I find that spirits, communicating with spirits, is only one small part of being able to achieve, a good level of spiritual growth and understanding. But to allow them to kind of run the show and demand of you all the time is not right. And there needs to be boundaries around that. And you can actually communicate with your guides. Generally, one or two of your guides, which are probably the main guides, you can actually ask them for help around this. And they'll actually only allow spirits in that really, it's really important, or but also when it doesn't tend to impact me too much anyway. And if there are spirits there that want to make themselves known to a client, well, that's when I'm open to be doing that. Generally speaking, it's not this way all the time, but generally speaking, I'm not seeing energy, I'm not seeing guides when I'm not working. But if I choose to, I can. So it's really about having those boundaries. So
Yeah.
got Kathy here. She's asking, hey Matthew, you mentioned using grounding continuously as needed. What do you do, or who do you go to when, if at all, gets too much and you need help? Oh, great question, Kathy. To yourself, and you cannot move on from. Yeah, look, it's interesting for me. When I need help, I've got a practitioner that I go to. Now, do I need that person a lot? Probably not, because I've learned a lot of techniques over the years myself. Like for me, first thing I'll generally do, if I feel my energy's down, and also if I feel I haven't had many phone calls of people booking in for appointments, I'll know that something's not right with me. So the first thing generally I'll do is just take the morning off, and I'll go out into the forest, and that brings me back online, and it automatically grounds me, fills you with life force, and you feel really strong. And that's where I'll do some meditation to feel what is going on inside me. Now, if I can't sort that out then in the forest, then I'll go to my practitioner that I need. I might only see her once every 12 to 18 months, because it's got to be something pretty big. But also I've got people around me too that generally help out at times, friends, colleagues, that I know I can ask just a simple question, and it can generally help me to look deeper at what's going on for me. So
it's incredible, isn't it, how, like, even sometimes some of those triggers, as you said, if we actually start looking inside ourselves, and what's actually happening, and that's a learning thing as well. And one of my questions was going to be, actually, was ongoing training, is it on a mortal level, like on this earth, with or is it now advancing through to our guides and galactic beings, and
what I do with people that have done the workshops or in the process, step by step doing workshops, what I'll do for people is I'll run them through a very, very simple mentoring program, which is, it's nothing major. It's not like a $3,000 process or anything. It's just a series of 3 sessions. We do this in spurts. Work out what it is the person's wanting to learn or to develop, what parts of their skill level. And we'll focus on that over 3 sessions, and that can be a week or 2 weeks between sessions. And I'll be giving homework in each of those sessions for that particular week or fortnight. but also I'll give them a bit more time. If they can commit to three sessions, then I'll give a bit more commitment, and I'll give them an extra half hour. So I'll give them a 2-hour session for the price of an hour and a half,
Yep.
and 3 consecutive sessions. And that generally really helps to open people. I haven't had anyone that hasn't gained from that process. Probably one of the biggest things people are looking for, practitioners or spiritual people are looking for now, is to be able to communicate more with their guides or galactic beings. And this has been working fantastically. I've been doing a lot of that with people, and it's really working well. It's just a matter of taking people through the process. Natalie Tucker. Hi, Natalie. I don't know if we've met.
It just popped up.
Yeah, so when supporting people with house cleansing of unwanted entities, what processes do you recommend to send the entities away from the house, sending to the light? I already have a process, but would really like to ask you both. I really want to learn how you deal with these issues. Wow, I don't think we've got enough time for that one. That's a big question.
That's a massive question, Natalie, and probably
maybe you should mentoring.
Look, I think one of the most important things as well is, like, there are, like, for myself, there's so many different techniques, and as we were talking about earlier, Natalie, I'm not sure how long you've actually been on the show, but Matt has with his training has taught me a number of different processes, etc. And a lot of his guidance or a lot of his training started in the Lakota. Mine's actually started us in a different method, and so I've actually had a very different journey. So my life's journeys and, like, the teachings that I've actually had, I encompass some of those as well. So I've actually combined and put together this whole package for myself to be a shaman. And the same with Matt, like, he is talking about the Lakota people, but we both have the most, it makes me cry even just thinking about the traditional owners of the Australian lands, because they are just incredible. And I just wish that so many people would understand, what we have as a gift here in Australia. And having that connection for myself, like, I'm just going off on a tangent, but I'll walk down the street in Adelaide and I will get an acknowledgement because once, like, having that commitment of being with the traditional owners and custodians, you become a brother and a sister. It's like, I might be a coconut, I don't, but the thing is that they know that who I am and they acknowledge that. And a lot of people don't realize that the awareness that's out there. So going back with the clearings, etc., there's a number of different things, and it is a really big thing. And for myself, all I just say is making sure that you're exceptionally careful. If, like, having techniques may be one thing, but it might be worthwhile, Natalie, going back to the original part or right at the beginning of this session, because the questions that Matt's actually answered of me today are giving you snippets of how important it is for your ego, how important it is to be grounded, how important it is to actually have the ongoing training and making sure that we're doing all these things. It's not just going, I actually on the, this weekend I'm going to do level 1 shaman course with Matt, and I'm going to be a shaman, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be able to do a house clearing, or I'm actually able to go and do a healing on another person. There is a number of different steps and a number of different processes that's in it. And the reason that I'm saying this is that we have to be careful, because it can be dangerous. Like,
Very much.
committed, like, 190,000% committed. Like, this is actually something that we've actually been in training for many lifetimes. It's not just this mortal life.
And also, it would be irresponsible of us to give just a snippet of information right here, right now, and people might try to use that without all of the foundational work that also has to go into it, that people aren't aware of, and they could end up throwing themselves into some really difficult, awkward, and scary situations.
And life-threatening. Like,
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people actually realise how, serious sometimes those things can be. Even sometimes I've had a particular client that actually came and saw me and thought, I can do this, and actually went and created a whole gamut of things that had to be rectified, not only for their client, who was meant, they were meant to be healing. It was for them. It was also for, it was just incredible. And, so there was a lot of work that needed to be done to make sure that, and that was a sense of responsibility that I had for myself. Because it was because when we sat down and talked about it, and it was what made you feel, etc. Like, I'm not going to go into a lot of semantics, but, it goes back to that two aspects that we said right at the beginning, the grounding and the ego. Just because you think you can do it doesn't necessarily mean that you can.
Exactly. And it's those little things that are so important that a lot of people forget about, particularly when there's an urgency on just simple grounding, and how much more powerful we are when we are grounded. And look, we are running out of time. An hour goes by way too quick, Mary.
Especially with me. Sorry about that. I've still got 27,000 ideas. No.
Well, maybe we can have another one next week. Maybe we can continue this next week if you want.
There you go. What about have a chat with Adair and see what she'd like to do, and we maybe be able to come up with a couple of topics as well. But I do want to say thank you very much for the community that has supported me coming in tonight. Obviously, they're with you as well, Matt.
Yeah.
But I'm getting back on the bandwagon. I had some mortal commitments to do, so I couldn't do my lives. So it was one of those things where, as you said, being 24/7, being committed to the shamanism, also having to have a mortal life. And, there's been a bit of a journey in the last 3 months, but I'll be back on very, very soon, hopefully on the Sunday nights. And when you invite me back, lots of fun.
Yeah, very cool. No, I'm more than happy to have you back, Mary. Great questions. I loved it.
I'm going to think of sticky one next time.
Oh. All right. Thanks, Mary. And
thank you.
I'd say we'll be seeing you again.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
All right. So just a couple of minutes of, I hope I'm still here and everyone's listening. So just a couple of things. I'm just going to run through workshops that I've got happening. So I've got a level 1 shamanism coming up this weekend. I've got level 2 shamanism coming up the following weekend, the 13th and 14th of November. Both are 2 days, both are 9:30 to 5 on both days. Not much more happening in the way of workshops. There could possibly be another drum making workshop before the end of the year, but I need people to contact me if they want that. I'm happy to run another one. I've just run one. Now, the other little bit of excitement is over probably the first time I ran this one was about 18 months ago. So there's a particular area in Mount Crawford Forest that has galactic portals there, places that are very high frequency where galactic energy moves in and out of. And there's some really interesting things to be felt there. And a lot of people will connect with beings there. That's a sure thing. If you're open enough and aware enough, you will pick up on galactic beings out there. So I'm doing a little venture out into that area of Mount Crawford Forest on Saturday, the 27th of November, at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it'll be for roughly 2 to 3 hours, and just depends on how long we go. But I'll give you a bit of, with the walk out there. It's not that far to walk, by the way. And it's generally, the last one we did was really interesting, was pretty exciting. A lot of people got a lot out of it. So if you'd like to be a part of that, I'm not putting this online because I want people that are more committed and more serious about what we're doing. And so you can contact me direct. My phone number's coming up there. And would love you to be on board. We had roughly 20 people come out last time, which was a good number. So you can contact me if you're interested in that. Please contact me. So we're in Adelaide, so for people that are listening in from around the country, unfortunately, unless you want to get a flight here by that Saturday. But there are other places in other areas too where these portals are open. It's just a matter of finding them. So yeah, look, a big thank you to Mary. A big thank you to Adair in the background that helps these nights to run. Without them, they wouldn't. Without her, rather, they wouldn't. And really appreciate everything that she does. And guys, thank you to you for being online and for throwing us the questions. It's really great, and it wouldn't be happening without you guys either. So good luck for the weekend. Have a great weekend. Have a safe one. And I shall see you next Wednesday night. And we'll see what we'll be talking about. But I have a feeling it might be Mary and me again. Let's just see. Thanks, guys. Have a great week and see you next week.